7:15, we're going to reconvene the Selectmen's meeting. Need a gavel. If everyone can take their seat, we're going to reconvene, please. So at this point, the board is going to take up agenda item 7:15 p.m. discussion and or vote on Commonwealth Equine and Agricultural Center LLC race location pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 128A, Section 13A. And I would sort of ask for some rules. The board is going to have some discussion about how we want to proceed, if we want to proceed tonight. So I would just ask that that everyone keep any comments or any concerns that you have. If there is time and if the board is willing, we'll take comments or questions. But really the intent is for the board to discuss and possibly vote on the proposal that's in front of us. I will tell you, so as mentioned, on the night of the Gaming Commission hearing, there were questions relative to 13A and some questions that the Gaming Commission went back to try to clarify. One of the concerns or questions that was raised by the town clerk and the timing of a petition. So sort of to talk about what the options are, and I'll get into what we heard from Deputy General Counsel of the Gaming Commission. So the options before the board are vote no. The board can vote yes. If the board votes yes, as mentioned in the Gaming Commission here and also in several public forums, 12% of the registered voters can get a petition. It's unclear whether that goes to, we're still trying to clarify whether that goes to the board or the town clerk who it gets submitted to. And I believe within 45 days after receipt of that, whatever that receipt date is, which we need to clarify, the Board of Selectmen need to call a special election. Actually, no, before that, sorry. It comes back to the board to reconsider if we reconsider our opinion. If that doesn't happen, then it goes to special election. Am I pretty clear on that, Ryan? Okay. So that's one option, and no is another option. So I received a call, actually, probably about 5:15 from Caitlin, who's Deputy Counsel for the Gaming Commission. And to clarify, and again, just, it's been mentioned several times, we're not necessarily on anyone's timeline but our own, but it's good for us to have all the facts to understand what consequences or considerations our vote have in the whole process. And so what I heard was that if that petition process under 13A happens, and again, sort of her comments were prefaced by, it also needs to go through and, opinion of the other Gaming Commission members, but it's believed that that's considered to be a non-vote. So let's run the fact pattern out. The board decides to vote yes tonight. 12% of the voters, registered voters, get the petition in. It comes to the board for a reconsideration. We still say yes. Then it goes to special election. What happens if that petition comes in, what I'm understanding, and she's going to confirm, comes in before November 15th, which is the Gaming Commission's vote date, then it's considered a non-vote by the town or by the selectmen and in the town, and that the process doesn't continue. So we've heard, at least I'll sort of say a couple comments, and then Rob and Kelly can say anything that they'd like to say as well. So we've heard loud and clear that you don't think the three of us should be voting on this. I think none of us disagree. We've listened in public forums. We've listened. We've gotten numerous emails. We've talked to people. We've gotten numerous emails from outside our community, both for and against. And it became sort of crystal clear to me that the three of us, really, it's a lot of responsibility for the three of us to vote on this. it would be great if we could turn this over to the town to vote on this. The only way that we can do that is if we vote yes. So understand that of the ability, of our ability, we have no, and the proposal dies here. If we vote yes, it gives townspeople, I'm not saying I agree one way or the other. I'm just trying to lay out all the facts on what's before us and what we have to think about.
Thank you, Jill. I actually put some of my thoughts together just so I wouldn't forget them. And just going to read through this. I have so many thoughts about Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Okay. I have so many thoughts about this whole proposal. I've gone back and forth on how I feel. I've listened to everyone that has reached out. I've even met up with some of you. I've actually stopped people that I saw out and asked them to. This has weighed very heavy on me. I do want to say thank you to all of those that did reach out, and I really did enjoy talking and meeting with you all. When I met with the applicants some time ago now, I thought to myself, this sounds lovely. This could be great. Like, how nice. I said that. I also said to them, be prepared. And I mean really prepared. I said that the folks of Hardwick take Hardwick pretty seriously. They don't like change. I meant that too. I moved here about 20 years ago or so, and since coming to town, I have volunteered and been a part of this town and community in some way, shape, or form. Finance committee, broadband committee, rescue squad, PTO, volunteering at the fair, helping with trick or treat, just to mention a few. I brought back the poinsettias to the seniors. Who doesn't love that? I care a lot. So to sit here and hear things like we must be taking bribes, we don't even show up at events, leak candidates, I have now run unopposed 2 times because nobody has even pulled papers. That is hard to swallow. We are all humans, just like everyone sitting in this auditorium or gymnasium. We have sat and we have listened to all of you. We don't judge. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. I would just ask for the same. We know that this is a big deal. I know that this is a big deal. And also let me say that the applicant in no way, shape, or form has been pushy. There have been no bribes. Nobody's bullying me. Nobody's bullying any of us. Just want that to be said too. So I have read and I have read and I've read, listened and I've listened. Here are some things that I have come up with. I do think that this would be an enormous undertaking for this town. I do think that if we could manage and control things, that it could be a positive thing. I do think that it is a far stretch for the department. I still have some concerns about that leading up to Thursday night's meeting. I care about your concerns. I was actually visiting my daughter in Greenfield Center, New York this weekend. For those of you who don't know that, it's about a 5-hour drive from Saratoga Springs. And I went and I rode because I was right there. Why not? I saw the magnificent thing. It was amazing. I could visualize the horses and the races, the people dressing up. My daughter even said how she wants to, get all their fancy hats and go some weekend. And I thought that could be really amazing. What I don't know is if I could imagine it in Hardwick. I'll be honest with you. Again, I do think it's a huge undertaking. And I know that's not what they're proposing now. So, that being said, I've heard some suggestions that we should all buy it. We should all chip in and buy it. Sure, I'll bring my weed whacker on Tuesdays at 3. East Club and Land Trust should buy it. And we should all farm it. These things aren't really realistic. What we need is for more people to be involved. I met with some of you that said this was a big eye-opener, and I really hope so. The financial status of this town is what is bleak. Our buildings are falling apart. Friday morning's incident at the town hall is just a huge indication of that. We do need change and growth. So how? I'm asking you all how. I really hope that people put some substance behind their words that they've been saying these past couple of weeks on this. Thank you.
That's a tough one to follow, right? I'm not a big speaker, so I'm just going to kind of be brief. I'm sorry, I'm not a big speaker, so I'll be kind of brief on this. I do understand everything that Kelly has just said. I've heard the same things, kind of got the same feelings. I definitely, when I read some of the emails that have come to us, feel like the stuff that people think is being asked for is completely different than what is actually being proposed to this town. There's a huge difference between casino gambling and gaming and what this group is asking for. And I really feel like everybody should understand that. The one thing I will say is that everybody in this town wants to vote on this, that can vote. And I really think that we should give them the opportunity, but that requires a yes vote. So I will admit, I'm kind of leaning that way solely for that fact that we would have to vote yes to give everybody the chance to vote if you guys got enough signatures to do so, which I think you would. My only question to the other board members is, before we take the vote, do we want to wait until after the hearing to see if they answer any of the questions that the residents of town have? Because the hearing is on the 31st, as you already stated.
I honestly don't think that 7 days is going to make a difference if we wait. We seem to meet multiple times a week anyways. So, I would like to get more information. And I guess I'll say, I sort of laid out the options to you. And I'll just tell a little story. I had a nice conversation on Friday night. It was quite a while. I truly respect the person I was talking to, as I do everyone here. And a couple things came, and I think I'll sort of echo what Kelly was saying. The statement was made, well, we sort of knew how you were going to vote to begin with. Well, I'm not really sure how anyone would know that, because I didn't even know that. I still have concerns in my mind, just as Rob. It's unfortunate for us that the only way we can get this to a town vote is to vote yes. That's really unfortunate, because there are a lot of people we've heard from, and also a lot of people we haven't heard from, that are still afraid to come forward. And they're, everyone's voice matters. And in the conversation, I guess if the board decides the ultimate vote of the board is yes, it isn't a dare or a challenge to get the signatures. We're trying to be inclusive and trying to get everyone to have a voice in this. And so please, I hope you don't see it that way. That's, at least from my perspective, that wouldn't be the intent behind it. I think I will echo what Kelly was saying. We've been very and the fellow board members have been very non-judgmental, and what has come across as we're listening, we're paying attention. I sort of feel our job sitting up here is to look at all sides, to look at what the applicants provided and what they're willing to do, and then look at what we're hearing from the townspeople, and make a decision based on that. Honestly, if that's the board's decision or way that we want to move and wait till October, I don't really want to prolong this either, but I think the more information that we have, perhaps there's, we can maybe make a different decision. I can tell you, very similar to Kelly, and talking to people and hearing their concerns, you voiced things that maybe I sort of thought about, but you brought a different perspective to it. So I think I agree with Rob that maybe a course of action would be to let the Gaming Commission have a hearing and It's going to be live streamed, I believe. It's going to be October 31st at 1:30. We could certainly reconvene another selectmen's meeting after that. And once we have all of that information, perhaps we might feel like we're in a better situation to make a decision.
I would be fine with that. That's what you guys want to choose.
Thank you. Probably should. I know people are expecting a decision tonight, but I mean, I feel like I watched a little bit of that hearing the other day again, and there were some questions that were asked that some of these people had that I feel like they need to be answered. So if we do move forward, and depending on how the town votes, everybody knows exactly where the commission is coming from too. Because some of those questions were related to how the state was going to act with the town, and they didn't really answer any of those questions. So I would say we should wait. Do we want to set a meeting date? I'm going to make a motion. We'll make it the following Tuesday, November 1st.
So this is, I think, where I guess we're going to ultimately decide the way we're going to decide on this, but so I guess I'll ask the question I'll ask the question of you all. Your thoughts on if we delay, I know you all expected a vote here, but we're trying to be extra cautious, and at the advice of being transparent, we put it on the agenda. If we delay until after making our decision until after the Gaming Commission hearing on October 31st, is that going to fit with everyone's expectations? Yes. What did you say? Does it affect the petition time? It's based on when we vote. So that's when that's when that happens. If we don't vote on anything tonight, the process doesn't start. It has to start when the board votes, ultimately when that is. So I'll just repeat the question. You're welcome to come up, but I'll repeat the question. So the question was asked about the November 15th deadline and the timing and what, sort of, I guess I'm summarizing what the significance of that. That's the Gaming Commission's timeline. So if the board, the Gaming Commission cannot give an affirmative ruling on the applicant's paperwork or application if the town hasn't voted by that. Or if it's a no vote, it doesn't go forward in front of the Gaming Commission. It's already in front of them. They can't make their final decision, or their final decision is not to advance the application if we vote no. So one of the things we need to clarify, again, this was just this evening a bit ago, is if the time frame of the petition, when it needs to come in. And so I guess if for anything, we could have additional time, an additional week to clarify and firm up the statute. And if the town clerk wants to come up and speak and just give us, but the statute's is very unclear on the time frame of things. So what we did hear from the Gaming Commission council is that if we voted tonight and the townspeople, the residents, more than 12% of the registered voters had the petition and we had it in hand by November 15th, it's considered a non-vote. What that means is then the application would not move forward. what I don't know and what I'm not clear on, and perhaps we can clarify, there's a 20-day time frame that's mentioned in talking to the town clerk. The statute isn't very specific, but if we refer to the statutes relative to cities, I believe it is a 20-day time frame. Ryan, do you want to quickly just mention that? I appreciate it.
And Alex, our town council is here right now. So chapter 43, section 42 has to deal with. Louder? Okay. Very sorry, I thought I was loud. Chapter 43, section 42 deals with cities and initiative petitions. And if you read that language, it does specify in there that if there's a decision that's made by the city council, that 12% of the citizens can petition and protest. So the idea is that there's very similar language that, you know, the legislature in that avenue of allowing people some form of regress if they don't like what their officials have done, have spelled it out. Now, for whatever reason, 128A, 13A, you know, they just basically say 12% of the residents or citizens file a petition with the town clerk. It doesn't say anything about timelines for certifying, for me submitting, as Julie was mentioned, and I apologize if I'm standing. I feel like I've got my back to people. You know, the 45 days is a big deal, because is it 45 days from when I receive it? Is it 45 days from when I certify it along with the board of registrars? Is it 45 days from when I give it to the board of selectmen? You know, or is it after they reconsider? Do they have to reconsider and then the clock starts? So these are questions that our council has been working on. Now that we've heard from the gaming commission, there's extra information, but it's still, it's as clear as mud, to put it bluntly. I mean, the legislature really, I don't think this has ever happened before. So when they crafted the language, they left out some important facts, but just like early voting, you know, we can opt in to do in person, but opt out to do, so, you know, 6 of one, half dozen the other. But that's my understanding that I have received from M.G.L Ch, who is legal counsel at the Secretary of State's office. She had never encountered it before, but I recommended that perhaps that our council could incorporate 43, 42 into an opinion. So I think that's something that I'll leave to the board for them to decide. My role is a repository and certifier running the election. So I'm going to turn it back to Chairman Quinn.
Yeah, so those are, I guess, what I would say then is, I think things we need to clarify for our own selves again, you know, keeping in mind this is our timeline, not their timeline, that we need some more clarity surrounding that. We also need more clarity surrounding the timing of the petition, and if it gets submitted, you know, if it doesn't get submitted before the 15th, if the vote from the board is yes, the petition doesn't get submitted before the 15th, what the impact is on the gaming commission vote. So I don't have clarity on that. So I think given the questions that we have surrounding the process and what the impact of our vote one way or the other is, I agree with you, Rob, that I think we should listen to the gaming commission hearing on the 31st, and then I believe I heard you say November 1st, reconvene a selectmen's meeting. Would that be enough time after the gaming commission hearing to resolve any questions? The other item is we don't have the, as a result of Friday's event, we do not have the questions back from David from MDAR. There were questions that you put in the chat that we haven't had the availability to get the answers to. We're working on those, so those will go up and be posted as soon as we have those. Those are still outstanding also. Before we actually take a vote, I will take a couple questions or a couple comments. Sure. Sure.
Thank you very much. Certainly it is confusing. But there's a couple of questions I have. One is that the petition, the 13A approval, if given, that's what triggers the citizens' right to petition. All clear on that. And you would learn today, it's very helpful to know, from the Gaming Commission, that if that petition is not submitted, I think the language says filed, doesn't say certified or town voter. It says if it's filed by the 15th, then that would cause the suspension of approval and essentially, seems to me, kill the deal at that point. I think that's what it sounds like right now. If you say no to the 13A approval, obviously that stops the progress now and no petition would be needed or triggered. The questions have to do with what happens if you delay, which it sounds like you might want to do, or like you're thinking of doing. One, a delay, I don't believe is going to trigger any petition. Two, it's not going to trigger a petition because there's no yes vote that triggers it. So that wouldn't even come in, I don't believe. There will be, you don't know this till you see it, but there will be no problem having far more than the requisite number of 12% signatures of residents. So that it will happen, but it can't even be collected because it's all referenced to a yes vote on the 13A. So that wouldn't happen. And then I've got a question of the applicants who I believe in their actual application said what it seems that the Gaming Commission says is the case, which is that the 13A approval by the board is a prerequisite of the commission granting a license. One of a number of things, yes, but I think if that isn't in hand, they're not going to say yes to it. That wouldn't bother me, but I think you'll tell us if we're wrong about that, because it doesn't seem like that's what you're thinking. That there'll be another chance to raise it up for this current round of license. One question I'd asked the council, never heard anything, was if this round doesn't work, if it doesn't happen now, and if the Gaming Commission doesn't give for whatever reason, approval on the 15th, is there any provision to come back and try again next year? Or are they just going to give their 10 licenses and that's it? So that was one question. Obviously, you have much more time to consider all aspects of this. And one thing you said, Julie, I did want to ask the town council, this is not a question that was asked and not answered. Various towns elsewhere have had votes, townwide votes, on horse racing in their town. Not triggered by the 13A approval, but there have been referendums that were shot down. There have been home rule petitions that were passed. Referendums have said no horse racing. There's been home rule petitions that have said don't do it here. And those things have caused different town boards to simply not give a 13A approval. I believe that's pretty much what happened in Sturbridge, or that was driven by a zoning. But it's not the only way. You could theoretically say, let's have a town vote, a referendum decide that, and then we'll decide what we're going to do with the 13A or not. But I don't think I agree. We don't have all we need to know right now to say yes. Thank you.
Sturbridge did vote yes, by the way.
So before you start here, I did ask for questions from, the feeling from the audience and the townspeople here. If there's issues that are we've already talked about, I just ask that we don't keep bringing them up. But if there are new questions that that we need some answers, and the board will follow up on. Again, we don't want to belabor the meeting because it sounds like the consensus we're not voting tonight. But if you have a question relative to what we've laid out, happy to hear it. But again, I don't think you all want to be here all night, and I don't think we do either. So.
I promise it's relevant. I promise it's not an old statement or anything I've said before or asked before. My question for you three is specifically about the Gaming Commission and the answers that you're seeking. What will change your position greatly by hearing that information? I guess that's, I mean, I'm sure you have some sort of perspective today, a yes or a no, whatever that is. Yeah. But what will change between now and then? Like, if you, what's the groundbreaking thing that will change your mind from one side to the other today? I think that's my focus.
No, I'm not sure I can answer that because honestly, I think we're just trying to get as much information as we can. So the information that I mentioned to you about that came from council has not been the rest of the gaming commissioners. So that is her opinion on the process. We don't necessarily understand. There may be things that are brought up in the hearing that we don't even think about. There were things, as I mentioned to you, that in talking to you, I had a general thought about something or a general perspective on it, or was a different perspective that came forward. And I would hope, and you two certainly, can speak on your thoughts, but I would hope that there'd be more information that might come out relative to the process, relative to their opinion. Maybe the Gaming Commission doesn't even approve it, so it's maybe they're leaning towards not approving it because of the concerns. Then it's a non-issue for us. So I guess I would say I would be looking for more information or anything else that would come out that may help answer questions. There's a lot of questions that we're mentioning here.
Yeah, just any specific concerns.
Hey, how are you guys? So I am, as to follow up what you were saying, you all more or less to a yes to pass it to the townspeople. What if there is no petition? What if we don't get the signatures? Is that a gamble you're willing to take? But you're gambling the entire town's future with that move. It's not a guarantee. There is no 100% absolute that signatures will be gathered. The petition will come to fruition. It will happen. So a yes, put it to the townspeople, is not a guarantee. It's a major gamble for the entire town.
Well, if you don't get enough signatures, then the town approves it. Because you wouldn't get enough signatures if more people approved it than the 200. You need 240, which you probably will have. But then that means the town approves it by fall. Okay.
So
these gentlemen have showed up for a job interview over and over again.
Okay.
Given the wrong answer.
We heard you loud and
lack
clear.
of information. Why would you hire them?
We've heard
would
you
you
loud
hire
and clear.
them? I wouldn't hire them. Why should Hardwick?
We got it loud and clear. We hear what you have to say. So, and I don't mean to sort of, I don't think any one of us have alluded to the fact that we're going to vote one way or the other. My job, I feel, is to present all of the facts out so you all understand what we're thinking about in our mind. The conversation I mentioned to you on Friday night, I was honest and said, I'm not sure how I'm going to vote on this yet. A yes vote and trying to set out the facts is a way to get everybody to vote on this, have the opportunity. So of course that's attractive because we want to be, at least for me, I want everyone to have a chance to say it. There's a lot of people we haven't heard from. There's a lot of people we've heard from multiple times. And we appreciate that. But there's also a lot of people that maybe haven't voiced their opinion and might be for. And I think there's some validity to what Rob mentioned. And certainly, again, I'll express, it's not from my perspective, if the board does vote yes, it's not a challenge from the board to get signatures at all. So I don't think, I would hate for someone to characterize my comments tonight by saying that I'm going to vote yes. Because I don't think it's accurate. And I think I didn't just say it. Rob said it. I didn't just say it. And I think you need to be fair and give us the opportunity to come up with our own opinions, and don't think we're going to vote one way or the other. Please don't. Because I will tell you, however I vote, I will be honest and tell you exactly why I'm voting that way. Judy.
Thanks, breath, everybody. It's a process here that's a little bit messed up. If you feel a yes vote will trigger the process to get where you want to go, that's messed up. In other words, we want to know what you think, and we want to have a chance. And so I think deferring it, and instead of voting yes to trigger some process that may or may not, what we all want it to do. And does that make any sense? I don't think it's cool to vote yes in order to achieve some other minor goal that's not related to how we all really feel.
Thank you, Judy.
Hi, I just want to say I think you're making a mistake tonight, because most of the people who are here tonight have been to several other meetings. Most of the people here tonight have read probably everything you've read on Virtual Common. And even though you assure us that there are many people who see things not like we do, we haven't heard that many of those people speak publicly. I think it's kind of a slap in the face to the people here in Hardwick who worked long and hard trying to research these issues and trying to convince you that this is not a good idea for Hardwick. And to defer it or to vote yes is not acknowledging that we've heard these people talk. I just think you're making a mistake.
So,
Edward Kelly, and I'd like to thank the three of you going through this. I'd like to say thank you to you three for going through this, and I think you're doing a good job. And I have a question for Brian. What kind of a format do you want on the petition? Yeah, what
Compared with those that are proposed format. You can have to solve, but I'm just trying to make it so it's easier for me, and I don't have to, something submitted by M.G.L. Then my job is to, I can't make up the signature, so. Name and address.
Madam Chair, may I?
He's asking about the format of the petition. I've already shared with Stanley Domchevsky a template, so to speak. The language I left to him, I put sample language in there, and I also put a petition together for people that are in favor. So I'm walking a straight line on this, okay? So, the only reason I put it out there was to make my job easier, so it's similar to a nomination paper. You have your name, you have your address, I check it off, and then on the back side of the page, there's stamps for the registrars. For the petition in favor, that could be anything. I mean, we all know what the First Amendment is. You have the right to petition your government, and no form is needed. But when it comes to 128A, 13A, it is very specific, and again, clear as mud. I highly recommend all read it, and if you still have questions, by all means, give me a call or send me an email. I've got to defer to the chair.
So we'll entertain a few more comments, and then we're going to make a motion on whether we're going to defer our vote or leave it.
To the select board and actually to town council also. Why does the board have to make any decision? Why do you have to vote at all? Can't you just
defer and say, we are not going to do a vote, we're going to take it straight to the public, and we're going to do a referendum, or we're going to do however it is, and just skip the vote, because I agree, it could be very dangerous for you to make the vote. And is it legal to do that? Because if it is, just then you don't have to worry about it. There's nothing on your back anymore. Nobody harasses you. You take it straight to the people.
It's a non-binding vote, though. It's a non-binding vote. So, Alex, do you want to speak to this, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the procedure here is laid out by statute, that the Chapter 128, Section 13. The procedure here is laid out by statute. It's Chapter 128A, Section 13A. That is the only process that's available to approve the location of a horse racetrack. So whether or not the board wants to vote, that's entirely within your discretion. But the only available legal means of approving the location of a racetrack, in my opinion, is to follow the statutory procedure.
Thank you, Alex. So before we start, so the last person we're going to hear is Judy, and then we're going to make the motion one way or the other.
Okay. James Marcino, Cherry Hill Road, Hardwick. I try to empathize with you, and I think you've got a very difficult job, and I do appreciate the amount of pressure you have to deal with. I know that a couple of you mentioned that initially you felt very positive and upbeat about the proposal and about what it might be for Hardwick. But, and I think a lot of us in the room also share that kind of feeling initially. But as we've begun to dig and find out more information and get more answers to things, a lot of answers we still haven't gotten, like why we wouldn't do a traffic study before a location was chosen, things like that. But, you know, as time goes on, we realize it's not going to be a couple weekends. It's not going to be a couple race days. It's going to be a state minimum requirement of 20 race days, minimum. And when we begin to consider 20 minimum race days, we talk about crowds of 3,000 to 5,000. I mentioned that the first 4 days, they had 25,000 people a day at Saratoga. This is the only racetrack in New England, and people will come from wherever to watch it. Boston Metro is 4 times the size of Albany metro area, and the potential for draw of more than 5,000, more than 20 days, is, to me, undoubtedly going to change this town. Thank you.
Marcus Hayden, Barry Road. Ryan, you called out Stan that you provided the format to and opposition of it as just transparency, consistency. Could you call out for those in approval? Like you don't have to, but called out them in opposition, or it was an email address that did not have it. Got it. Thanks.
Hi, thank you. I know this is a tough job, but I've got to ask a really tough question. I don't know if this is Ryan, and I don't know if it's to you. What stops the 3 of these individuals from doing their vote the day before so we can't get our signatures in? Kicking it down the road, kicking that can down the road even further after we all know and have done the research of what this is going to do to the town. And by the way, my best friend, who's the president of Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, lives right outside Saratoga. My daughter lives out there, and you know what? They really don't like those red paintballs hitting their cars. So let me tell you, I'm sure these people don't. So give us the time. Please vote early. If you're going to all say yes or all say no, say yes, but give us enough time to do our job, because you said it should go to the town to vote. Give us a chance to get it to vote. Don't give us 2 days, 4 days, kick it down another 7 days. That's ridiculous. We all need the opportunity to get out there and talk to folks. And the people that want to, apparently that don't show up, that want this thing, they need the opportunity to vote too and get that petition. So please give us that time. Is there anything that, I'm asking, anything that prevents these folks from voting on the day before that is due, that prevents us from getting our petition in? Thank you.
In my opinion, when to hold the vote is entirely a matter of the board's discretion.
Thank you for all of your comments and questions. We will try to follow up on those questions, specifically on the timeline. I will follow up with the Gaming Commission and just find out, get more specifics again. It was within a very short time frame of this meeting while I was traveling to another meeting. So some of the things I thought about afterwards, I didn't have the opportunity to ask, but I will follow up and we will talk about them so that it is transparent and you know what the answers are. Okay. Do you want to make the motion? Are you ready to make the motion?
Well, I can make the motion and we can have discussion on it. I move we vote on, what are we voting on? The racetrack proposal on November 37.
Let's do 6:30.
It's 6:30.
I'll second that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
second.
So it's moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
I do want to make sure people have time if they need time to do food. So, do you want me to?
Yeah.
I do want to make sure that you all have time. So if we're going to postpone this to next Tuesday, I want there to be a vote one way or another.
That's fair. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with. I think there may be information that comes out at the hearing. Some questions that we might have that we need answered, and then we'll be prepared. So, we will be prepared to vote on Tuesday, November 1st. The meeting will start at 6. So I will ask for the vote. All in favor? The motion is to defer our vote until November 1st after we get the hearing on the 31st. All those in favor? No. I'll say yes. So the motion carries. So we will vote on November 1st. Anything else before the Selectmen's meeting that we should address? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Oh, could you please pick your chairs up before you leave to help the custodian? Thank you. All those in favor of adjourning? Aye. Adjourned at 8:04.